We begin with breaking news at noon. A show of support at Jackson Memorial Hospital from fellow officers after one of their own was shot while chasing down a robbery suspect. That officer remains in critical condition at this hour. The scene where that shooting happened in Northwest Miami-Dade last night still very active at Northwest 62nd Street and Northwest 7th Avenue hours later. We are live on air and always streaming on CBS News Miami with the CBS News app. I'm Maribel Rodriguez. Miami-Dade police says the officer who was shot in the head and is at the mercy of doctors. We have live team coverage with CBS 4's Deborah Souverine at the scene, but we begin with CBS 4's Keith Jones live outside Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, where the president of the Police Benevolent Association spoke to us about the officer. Keith.
Yeah, the PBA wouldn't confirm this officer's name, which we believe we do have. But he did say he's a young officer, and if he survives, he has a long career ahead of him. What seemed like hundreds of cops lined the emergency entrance at Jackson Memorial Hospital to show support for a young Miami-Dade police detective who was shot in the head Monday night. That officer, a part of the Robbery Intervention Detail, or RID.
RID is one of those specialized units. They go after the worst of the worst. That's what they're designed to do, to go at the worst of the worst. Stedman
Stahl, president of the Police Benevolent Association, wouldn't provide many details about the investigation, and he wouldn't confirm the name of the officer who was shot, but did offer this.
He's a young officer. He's been on the department for just over 5 years right now, and he's not even in his 30s yet. He's a very young officer. I do not believe he has any kids or anything like that, but he's got a fiance and a mother and father that are just devastated by what's happening right now.
Fellow officers waited late into the night for any encouraging word about the injured detective. There were hugs, there were prayers, perhaps being reminded of the reality of just how dangerous their job is.
And these officers don't know when they leave their house whether they're going to go home or not. Last night was an example of just that. You had officers out there, they were looking for a robbery subject, and within a split second, the officer finds himself shot. He's clinging for his life as we speak right now.
That detective is considered in extremely critical condition. And amid the devastating news, one man gives us a glimpse of humanity. With rosary beads and prayer book in hand, Alvaro Lugo dropped by the hospital for a random act of kindness.
He's offering his life to protect us.
So you came just to pray for this man?
Just to pray for him, yes.
And we're also told this officer's family, his mother, father, and fiance, are at his side right now. And again, the latest condition we have is grave. Live at JMH, Keith Jones, CBS 4.
Keith, thank you. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to all the men and women in blue, and of course, the officer and his family. Now, our team live coverage continues now with CBS 4's Deborah Souverine, who is live near the scene where there's still very heavy police presence more than 12 hours later. Deborah?
Yeah, that's right, Maribel. The scene still intact and still very active behind us, as you can see. And it's been left intact because now investigators with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement have taken over this investigation. And as you mentioned, Maribel, it's been more than 12 hours that they've been out here collecting evidence. Now, Chopper 4 flew over the scene earlier this morning, and you can see there are several damaged vehicles within the crime scene. Now, according to Miami-Dade police, the suspect crashed into those vehicles after running away from police, and it was shortly after that gunshots were fired. Now, we counted over a dozen evidence markers on the ground here, and police tell us the suspect was shot and killed here on the scene. And as Keith just mentioned, the officer who was critically wounded is still in the hospital right now fighting to stay alive. Now, yesterday we heard from the director of the Miami-Dade Police Department, who shared this heartfelt message.
I just asked our fellow officers to stand as one, our fire department to stand as one for the officer and the family, and I ask our community to please stand as one and pray. We have hard days ahead of us. We have to do this together as one, as a community, as a law enforcement family.
Just very heartbreaking, and this was the scene last night. There was a very large police presence here, and detectives tell us this all began about 10 blocks west of where we are now. It started on Northwest 62nd Street and 17th Avenue. That is where, according to Miami-Dade police, a detective spotted a vehicle that was involved in an armed robbery. Now, when detectives tried to make an arrest, that is when the suspect took off, ending up here where we are now along Northwest 62nd Street and 10th Avenue in Liberty City. City, where the tragic shooting happened involving the officer. Now, back out here on the scene, you can see still a very active scene here, still a very large police presence. They have about 3 blocks of this area roped off right now. And detectives tell us there were 3 bystanders who were injured after the suspect crashed his vehicle into the vehicle that they were in. Now, at this time in the afternoon, we're told that they are in stable condition, and now the Florida Department of Law Enforcement will be taking over the rest of the investigation. We're live in Northwest Miami-Dade. I'm Deborah Souverain, CBS 4 News.
Deborah, thank you. And the South Florida community coming together on social media, showing their support and prayers for the officer. CBS 4's Austin Carter joins us at the alert desk with some of those posts. Austin?
Yeah, Maribel, and since Miami-Dade Police posted this tweet, it has received hundreds of retweets, thousands of likes, and dozens upon dozens of responses. Now, this is what that tweet says. One of our officers was shot during an altercation and was transported to Ryder Trauma Center in critical condition. We ask for your prayers, and we've heard from community members, other law enforcement agencies across South Florida that have responded, including Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Their fire chief says that they stand alongside their Miami-Dade PD family during this difficult time. We will lean on each other for strength and courage, and will continue to protect our community fearlessly in the face of danger. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office sending their prayers to Miami-Dade PD and the officer who was shot. Orlando Police also standing with their brothers and sisters at Miami-Dade PD, and Sheriff John Mina, he's the sheriff at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, saying that they are sending their prayers and support to the Miami-Dade Police Department. Now, back here at the alert desk, if you would like to share your thoughts, we do have a link to that tweet on our Twitter feed as well at CBS Miami. Maribel.
Austin, thank you. And stay with CBS 4 News and CBSMiami.com as we continue to follow the breaking news on the officer shot. As soon as we learn more on the officer's condition, we will bring it to you.